mom and dad. Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad.
Welcome home, family. It's your mom and dad. Stop. I'm sorry.
Everything's going well
family,
here.
Listen, I'm in a little bit of an uptight mood today, okay? What can I say? I've been a little bit picky about things today. I'm a little on edge.
It's giving.
It's the holiday season.
Why do you breathe like that?
No, it's not.
It's serving.
Family, it's just because right before we started, it was a little bit like, oh, buttons here, buttons there, things are flying.
Yes.
And
Everything's good. It's the holiday. Is that a song?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's the holiday season, so doop-dee-doop,
Oh,
and
a
dickory-dock, and don't forget to hang up your sock.
Sock?
Yeah, like stocking.
I thought was there another thing regarding a clock?
Yeah, something in there.
Oh, okay. Hang up your clock. I'll be coming round the chimney tonight.
I'm sorry that I was riding you and not in a fun way this morning leading into
the
this.
other writing. I want A, not B.
Sorry, I was not fun riding you this morning.
I forgive you.
I apologize.
I've already forgiven you like I've carried you in the sand with one set of footprints. So, as he has forgiven you, as I also shall.
I thought that we were having a fun, playful banter.
I don't know. It had inklings of fun. Like when it started
family,
fun.
I'm losing my mind today. But when you're right on the borderline, where I'm like,
losing it.
oh, we're being playful, and because we jab each other. That's what we do. So I'm like, oh, we're being playful and jab each other. But when there's just like a
it's
little,
like the joke that has too much truth in it.
Yeah,
You know
there's
what
just
I mean?
like a little sprinkling of it being too real, and then it becomes like we were bordering and becoming a full blown argument.
Right.
It's giving some like Love Is Blind couples.
Yes.
Right?
It's like, oh, interesting. You don't do that. Okay, you have mountains of debt.
Yeah, cool, very cool, very cool.
Okay, I think we could work with this. It's like you're trying to be cool. Yeah, so anyway, everything's fine now, guys. We've worked it out. No big deal. Good morning.
Well, I don't know if we just jumped in and
we just jumped in, and that's sometimes what you need to do.
But I love you.
I love you too.
And I thought we were being fun. Instead, I'm spiraling today, family. I don't know what's going on. It just is what it is,
Good morning. Yeah. Sometimes it just is like one of those
You know what I think it is? I think it's truly when the end of the year comes. I was actually talking with Katie Thurston about this the other day. When the end of the year comes, there's something that happens sometimes in our minds, and her and I both feel this, where you're like, what did I just do with this year? Mm-hmm. I need to start something new now. And there's this feeling of like, well, it's almost 2025. I need to start a new business now because I need to be successful in this way. So there's like this panic feeling of like, oh, there's all the holiday wrap up parties, like Ember's show. There's like getting all the gifts. There's all that type of stuff. Everything's just kind of chaotic. Yeah. But then also I'm like, but I also need to start a new business.
Right. You're like, it's never been more insane and I need to throw in a new business at the same time.
Yeah.
It is weird though that there's this like New Year resolution or like, everyone kind of has this thought. It is very funny how it's like when you really think about it, nothing's different. It's just days on top of days that like we create this kind of like pressure that like now on this random day, everyone agrees everything is going to be different.
What I need to do is I just need to take a deep breath and just realize to soak up. That's what the later daters should be showing me is that here we are, we're all just on this journey. We're all on, we're all humans on this journey.
They're just like, oh, another glass of wine.
They're like, oh, another day? Suzanne's just like another day, drink. Another glass of wine. So we're just soaking up life. And instead of being like, oh, I feel stressed and it's hectic and I'm spiraling, just be like, this is a precious day that I have. And I need to soak up the energy of this absolutely precious day that I've been given.
No one's expecting you to start something on the first of the year. No one's waiting. There is no pressure other than the pressure that you're creating yourself.
That's true.
I feel like some emotional, like kind of music could have come in right there, and then I
know.
could have launched into a whole thing.
Just add that in.
That's why you need to start 2 businesses. So if one fails, you have a backup. And then you need to start marathon running, right? That's also a part of it. So it's marathons and businesses.
Yep.
Multiple marathons, multiple business. And if you don't do that, feel horrible about yourself.
That's the energy we need going into
Yes,
2025.
exactly.
That's what's really fueling all my anxiety.
Shame on you for not fulfilling fake ideas you created in your own mind.
You know what else kind of took me down a road? I was feeling, the stress, the anxiety, like, oh, the clock is ticking in so many different ways. And then at one point during the later daters, Pam was on her date with Dwight and she brought up how she went to a bar and it was Cougar night.
Yeah.
And I Googled, I'm like, how old is it? I'm Evan. Everybody's family.
Yeah.
I'm right there.
Well,
I am a few years away from being considered a cougar.
well, yeah, because MILF was the first.
MILF was the first iteration.
It's the first iteration.
So listen to this. So I looked
what's
this
the
up.
breakdown? What's the cat family we're dealing with here?
First and foremost, family, nothing is more upsetting than finding out that they have something called the feline scale.
Yeah.
Okay.
The ages.
Listen, let me go off about the misogyny. There is no man scale. There is no, all that we know of, all that we talk about male-wise is like the TikTok, like he's my golden retriever boyfriend or he's my Rottweiler boyfriend.
What is
but there's no male
and
equivalent.
cats? Is that kind of,
there's
but no one
male
ever says
equivalent
like,
because no male.
I can't wait. Did you see that dachshund over there?
That's what I'm saying. There's no male equivalent because due to misogyny, you guys can just date however late into life, and you're just men, right? But we as women get something that's called the feline scale, and it starts at 18 to 21 wildcat, 22 to 29 lynx. This is me, 30 to 39 puma.
Okay.
And I'm right there because 40 to 49 is cougar, 50 to 59 jaguar, 60 to 68 panther, 69 pussycat. Just 1 year.
Ew.
Pussycat, gross, dude. Like,
First of all, it makes no sense because a pussycat's like technically like a baby kitten.
Evan, let me just. This is
right. So
who wrote this? Someone called someone made this called the feline scale. So of course
there's some guy in his basement
some weird
like,
fucking dude in his basement who then decided 69 is called pussycat. It's some
I didn't even catch that.
Yes, it's 1 year. So it's 60 to 68 panther, 69
which
pussycat.
makes sense because Pam said that she met a younger woman who said, "Can I be your puma?"
Correct. 70 to 79 cheetah, 80 to 89 leopard, 90 to 99 tiger, and 100 plus is lion.
100 plus.
The feline scale. So that's another reason.
100 plus.
That's another reason why I'm in a little bit of a mood today. Because I was just, I all of a sudden I thought, I'm like, I guess I'm technically at cougar age, which is fine. I'm fine being at that age. I'm also
you're
not
puma.
I know what I'm saying. I'm getting to where cougar is, but it's fine. Celebrate. I'm down with the age. What got me set off is the fact that there's something called the feline scale.
Yeah, the feline scale is crazy.
By some weird incel who's now created this thing that, when I Google it, AI is just like, here's the entire, 69 pussycat. It's just like, oh my God.
Although I am seeing merch.
Wrong with all
You know what I mean? Like claim your power back and make this, make merch where you have each cat and then just an age range, and then you sell it, make money off the incel idea. You know what I mean?
Sure. I mean, I don't know.
It's a way to kind of take it back and say, I own this. You know what I'm
Anyway,
saying?
I can't wait to be a lion 100 plus.
Wow. The lion category is rarefied air, 100%. Incredible. Wow. Well, thanks for that. I mean,
so that's the current
absurd.
mood.
Yeah, so that's what you were reading coming in, so you were just a little on edge. Okay, got it. That makes more sense now. We had a little feline energy, a little puma energy.
But I did really enjoy watching these remaining episodes. I know I'm being playful about my little grumpy mood, but I did have so much fun watching these episodes, and I am excited to dive into it with you and the family because we'll see where everyone kind of landed at the end of this too. We had some success stories that didn't involve a partner.
Some people who are clearly stuck in their ways a little bit.
We'll find out what's happened since.
Yeah. Oh,
this even aired. I checked out some of the couples,
love that.
how it was going down.
Let's get into it.
So let's get into it. But first, we got to take a quick pause Family, do you need a break from some stressful blind dates where they ask you outrageous questions? Or maybe you need a break from the holiday shopping, the holiday, etc. stress, the energy I'm in that I'm talking about, right? Well, I do clearly. And one way that I'm trying to do this is by trying to restore my chill and embracing the natural power of hemp this holiday season with Via. Oh my gosh, we love Via so much. No matter what we're getting into this holiday season, we have a Via's premium THC or THC-free gummy that's a perfect fit. I have been loving their flow state gummy for relaxed focus and all the busyness. And after a packed day, I've been loving their zero THC Zen gummy before bed. Dreaming of sugar plums and all that, you know what I mean? And if you're 21 plus, check out our link to Via's website link in our description and use code MOMDAD for 15% off.
Speaking of dreaming of sugar plums, I always love their Dreams gummy for that blissful rest. And we love their best-selling High Love gummy for some romantic time before bed. Via is well renowned for their award-winning THC and THC-free gummies and vapes, THCA flower, soothing topicals, and calming drops, all crafted with the highest quality hemp sourced from trusted and independently owned American farms. And like Jess said, they have the most amazing variety. Whatever you are looking for, their products range from 0 milligrams to 100 milligrams of THC. So these guys have you covered whether you're looking to microdose or enjoy some more potent effects.
And Via's products are just top notch, okay? Sourced from the finest hemp for your peace of mind, lab tested and certified, and they fit into the budget. It's all just a win-win-win. And on top of all of that, Via legally ships to nearly all states in the US in discreet packaging directly to your door with a worry-free guarantee, no medical card required. This holiday season, gift yourself some peace of mind. So, if you're 21 plus, check out the link to Via in our description and use the code MOMDAD to receive 15% off. After you purchase, they ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. This holiday season, enhance your everyday with Via. All right, family, let's get into the later daters. Sorry, it's been a little chaotic so far this
Sometimes
morning.
we have chaotic energy.
It's a chaotic energy. It's a chaotic mood today. But did want to say a reminder, we have one more episode that comes out Friday before we take like a 2.5 week break for the holidays. So we got one more episode and then we're back right after the new year for a bunch of fun, exciting reality TV biz. But we got one more episode. And so we thought for this final episode before we take a break, a few things. Number one, there's a trend going around on TikTok, the reels of it all right now, that says we don't judge, we listen, we don't judge.
Yes.
We listen, we don't judge.
We listen, we don't judge.
And then a confession is made. And we thought this feels relevant during the holiday season because one, we have Santa Claus.
Yes.
Who, are you going to be on the naughty nice list?
Yes.
Like, what type of naughty confessions do you have to get out there? And also, we were talking about how when sometimes you're with your families, those memories that come up where you're like, oh my God, I never told my parents that I have this secret.
Yes.
Just those confessions, those secrets. And so we thought that our next episode would be fun if you all went on our call home link and sent in messages about your confessions.
Yes.
They could be small and weird to some wild confessions,
Give us your
some secret that you've always had.
You can call in anonymously. Give us your biggest and best, just
give it. And Evan and I too will come up with some confessions to make, maybe some secrets perhaps to state to each other.
Lead by example.
So we listen, we don't judge. And let's get all of these potential feelings of judgments and secrets out on the table before you have to, potentially sit across from family that's really awkward. You know what I mean? Just get it all out there with your family who will love you regardless.
Yes.
So send
your
in
ceremonial parents.
Yes, your ceremonial parents. Send in those confessions. Send in those secrets. I'll have the link in the episode notes for the call home. And it'll be a fun one.
Very
just
fun.
to detox before the holidays.
Just get it off your chest so that Santa Claus can bring you some nice presents. You know what I mean?
Santa Claus.
Yes.
Indeed.
Let's do this. Let's get into this thing, girl.
We are covering the later daters, episodes 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Which are the final four episodes.
The final 4 episodes. So family, if you haven't watched them yet, you don't want to get spoiled, we're going to be getting right into this. And this is what I think. We go again, person by person, right? Main character
Yes.
by main character.
Yes.
And I think we start off with, speaking of the cougar conversation earlier, let's talk about Pam. Let's hit Pam right off the top. Because to me, Pam was maybe like in my heart felt almost the most like it was soaring after watching her whole journey through this. Because we had talked about in the episodes before, you know, she'd had her first date. It went pretty rough. Logan, the dating coach, had some, you know, thoughtful criticisms for her. Her second date went well, but we end up finding out that they're not really chatting.
Yeah.
Paul seems too preoccupied with his music career.
Well, he's touring. He's touring local Atlanta, and he's doing all the dive bars that like you don't have time.
Paul's got to go buy some more turquoise rings. He's on a turquoise ring tour. In fact, his tour's name is called Turquoise Ring.
He's mining turquoise right now. I don't know where turquoise comes from, but
he's getting it. And that's why he's so busy. To not contact Pam, which, by the way, bugged
my
me.
guy.
I'm like, Paul, you were doing this whole like, oh, I love her energy. I love her.
I think he got intimidated by the fact that she dated like real rock stars. And he's like...
See, it hit me. Paul hit me like the type of guy who'd be like, oh, I'm going to connect
Paul
with
was
Pam.
projecting that he could hang with that, but I think he's in his head. He knows that when she's going to come in to see him, and it's just not going to go the way. You know what I mean? Like, cut your losses before it becomes too embarrassing. I think that's what he thought. It said he got intimidated by the fact that like he's used to kind of like, whoa.
Yes.
And she's going to be like, ooh.
Yeah, he knows that he's not going to have Keith Richards saying he's the best voice of the
She's going to be like, very cute. So do you work? You know what I mean? And so it's not going to go well. So
she ends up going on a third date, but she's got a great attitude about it. Even though Paul didn't work out and she was feeling kind of smitten with him, she's got a great attitude. She goes into a date with Dwight. Dwight is 70 years old. Yeah. He's never been married before, and he's a tour director / event planner. When she goes into this bar to meet him, this man is a rock star in his own right.
Right.
He's wearing the shades inside,
as they
70, full checkered suit, and is just crushing it.
And they went to like a place where everything's like red velvet too.
That's what I'm saying. He fit in like perfectly with like his vibe. It was very vague. It was giving Vegas,
100%.
like old school Vegas.
Yes.
And he just had like rock star energy oozing off of him. So I'm like, this is gonna go well, because she showed up looking adorable.
Yes.
She went full vintage, like her 60s, 70s
It was
looks.
very cute. It's like something about her. I've brought this up before, like with the Golden Bachelorette series, where it's like certain people have that vibe of like, oh, I see you at 22.
Yes.
But they're just old now.
Yeah.
But you're the same person. Your skin's a little wrinkly. You're older, but you're literally still 22. She really is that person where you're like, I don't see her as someone who's 70.
No.
I see her as someone who's 23.
Completely.
You know what I mean? So the fact that she's walking up in a Ember outfit.
Yes, Ember would have.
And it doesn't look weird.
No,
you know
what
I mean? Even her makeup was kind of like bright color. Like she's just a young person.
But I loved that because I felt like she decided to put that. It was almost symbolic of she was ready to just be herself.
Yeah.
She put that outfit on, and you know me.
Fur coat, boots, the whole deal. Yeah.
The sunglasses, like. You know me, something that I feel really passionately about is using style as a way to express yourself and never feeling like you're too old to wear something. I feel very passionate about that. I don't care what, like, never feel like, oh, I'm getting too old. Wear what makes you feel happy.
Absolutely.
And so her putting that outfit on, I felt like she had this energy that then she went into this date in a really good mindset.
Yeah.
She thought he was super cute. She's like, he seems super kind, gentle. They're vibing, but it ends up taking a turn because he's explaining to her that what he does is tours around Atlanta, some for senior citizens, some for like, Hollywood type, movie lot things. And she's like, I want to work for you.
Yeah, it was very funny how she like kind of just thought like this is a job opportunity. Like the date can come later. It was funny because
Dress for the job you want. And
she was like talking earlier that she's like, yeah, I'm broke or whatever. So it's funny. You could tell that like she's like money's on her mind almost.
Yeah.
And she's kind of going, yeah, this could work out as a date. But you know what I need more than a husband right now? Some more income.
Yeah.
Let me pitch myself. And it worked out. It was actually cool because even in the ITMs, he was kind of like, yeah, I'm not exactly sure about the romance, but I love the way she thinks business-wise. And it was like, oh, what a cool, like...
He felt immediately connected to her because he's like, I love that we can talk about an idea. And that was inspiring to me too. 2 70-year-olds talking
like
about he recently started this business
like,
at 70, and now she's like, I want to become part of your business with you.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here having a panic attack before this started because I'm like, I got to start another business.
Yeah.
This is an example. You know, it's never too late. You can take your time. You can be in your 70s and start something that you're passionate about.
100%. And you know, it's interesting. We talked a little bit about this, but she's a... You know, it goes back to why she's even here, which is she's not here for her.
Yeah.
You know, Logan was like, why are you here the first time they met? And she's like, because my granddaughter's getting married and I don't want her to worry about me. So very different than I'm lonely. I don't know what to do. I miss having someone. She's kind of got she reminds me of my aunt.
Yeah.
Which is like they both live in the woods. They both kind of have their quirky personalities and their quirky lifestyles. They're not really missing anybody. And they kind of have this like, I've built my own world. And I'm not necessarily needing some guy to come in and
I don't need a Prince Charming.
necessarily. More friends. See, because she even said, I struggle sometimes with friends because they live out here, blah, blah, blah. So it's almost like I like a friend who lives with me.
Right.
But less and less like this, I'm desperate for love and I feel, you know what I mean? It's just, so it's interesting that she even kind of almost sabotaged herself in the date without even knowing it, being like, I'm more interested in like a possible job and a friend.
I think she actually ended up giving herself exactly what she needed.
Exactly.
Because like you said, she was there for Zoe, her granddaughter. It wasn't necessarily like, I need the love of my life right now. Like Logan had said, she's this like flower that needs to be in the sun.
Right.
And she's been kind of in a cave and living in her past memories. And so she goes out, she meets Dwight. She essentially is like, hey, I want a job. They're having this discussion about her doing a girls' night or a girls' day tour, you know, with all the ladies. And we cut to her. She didn't have a date that worked out where she's now in a relationship, but now she's working with Dwight. We see her with her mic, her and Dwight, they're doing the girls' night tours. They're asking everybody what their zodiac signs are. She's getting the ladies to cheer and she seems so happy. And it was so cool because it was just like, I don't know, I was thinking about my mom. Because, you know, my mom has been talking about, you know, the idea of maybe we audition for the Golden Bachelor or these reality TV shows. And I think my mom does really want to find love. But at the same time, I think my mom also really would love to find community. Yeah. And that can also be the love you're looking for. And for Pam, maybe right now, the love she needs and she's looking for is community and purpose.
How long has Pam been single? Do you remember?
A long time.
Right?
A long time.
I wonder if she's just kind of like, it seems to me like she hasn't made it a super big priority to find someone to spend the time with. And I'm also thinking to myself too, like, if you got your granddaughter, you got people, you know, you kind of have this lifestyle. There's this thing of like, it's hard to find exactly what you need. Because it's like, I was just thinking about myself and I was thinking if I had, you know, was that age and it's like, you're already like 70, like you're so locked into the way you do things that it's like, as much as it would be nice to maybe have the connection, I also think, man, a lot of work to like bring someone into your world.
You have to
and then
really
have to, like,
want it.
cohabitate.
Yeah, you have to really want it.
Like when I think about just even like when you're young and dating, you spend years before you're, you know, you spend like years before you even move in together. Then you spend years maybe living together for a while and you're like years into it before even married. So it's like there's so much like growth and learning about someone that needs to happen. Mm-hmm. And I feel like when you're that age, it's like you don't have all this time to just like understand someone. So bringing someone into your life, it takes work to like, there's growth, there's kind of flexibility. I don't know. I just really get her walking away from this thing with like a new great friend, a new job.
Well, I think
kind of just
when
like,
you're talking about all the work, though, I think it's one of those things where it's like, okay, you probably really need to want
yes,
it.
like it's got to be a huge desire.
She wanted to maybe not be lonely. And so for her, not being lonely is a community, and also, like I was saying before, finding purpose. And I think that was a big powerful piece to me, is the idea of purpose regardless of your age. And you can find it everywhere and anywhere. And for her, she loves people and she has this history of, you know, the hospitality industry. And so here's a fun new way that she can have a bunch of women her age. She can party with them, show them the town. She's got her new friend Dwight. Like
what's interesting is that what I did like too is that she is clearly such a positive, loving, fun person, but she also kind of like was honest about the fact that like all this time alone spent in the woods, maybe on Facebook, kind of like, made her feel negative and kind of have a negative outlook on the world, and kind of and you can tell that's like not her. She's not like this crotchety person that's like, wow, and the government, you know, but she kind of was like, it kind of got to me. Yeah. So being out and realizing how beautiful and amazing people are, and that there's a lot of beautiful people out there, and like it almost just felt like she kind of is getting re in touch with who she is and her. Oh, I love people. I worked for 30, 40 years with people. I love it. You know, I think that's also nice too.
That was very powerful, where she was like, I love being around people, and I'm seeing how amazing people are. And I had kind of been in my own bubble where, you know, I was watching the news on whatever, and I was just thinking how terrible people are. And it's like, I don't know what conspiracies and all these
but it's
things
easy to, right?
She's ingesting. But yes, it's just like,
I feel myself do that sometimes.
Yeah. Where
like, if I'm just spending too much time kind of isolated working, doing my own thing, then it's like I'm on the road and I'm like, oh, these people and all that, and I'm like, what am I doing? It's like I'm interacting with less people, so I'm less in touch. You start to kind of lose the plot a little bit. When
I find myself isolating, I can find myself being very agitated out and about with people way more than when I'm soaking in community and then seeing like the goodness in people. And so it was just so cool. I just love the way that her story wrapped. I thought it was so beautiful. And now her granddaughter is able to like see how joyful her grandmother feels, and she can go and, you know, live her life. And Pam now has this reignited purpose and is loving people. And even though it wasn't a romantic love story, it was still like a love story about Pam.
Yeah, it was almost like she fell back in love with herself and her life.
You saw such this like 180 with her on the show, and it really touched me, inspired me a lot.
And I just like the fact that not everyone needs a romantic partner at certain parts of your life.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like that's not what everyone needs.
And it doesn't.
But we're so used to kind of that being the thing. Well, like, your mom's like, "Why are you still single?" Or like, you know, you have friends who are like, "Why aren't you going to date anybody?" Or like, well, you know, it's interesting how like there's a lot of people that probably shouldn't have partners at certain stages of their life.
Well,
and it's actually a good thing.
Also too, at the end of the day, it's like, can a partner provide an amazing part to your life? Yes, but that's only a part to your life. Like, you do not need a partner to create a life. You do not need a partner to make a life. Like. You are your own, like you are so valuable, and to love on yourself and your own journey. And I don't know, I loved it. Yeah. I felt really inspired by it.
Me too. It was a nice, different ending to these shows and this concept for her.
Shout out to Pam. Loved watching her.
Pam was
journey.
Awesome. I want to hang with Pam.
Me too. She just seems like a party. Let's talk next about Suzanne. I always say Suzanne.
I mean, it's got the Z in there. You can't do Susan.
Z, of course, because it's a little like, it's zesty.
Zanne.
Suzanne, Z for zest.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk Suzanne next, but we got to take another quick pause, family. So here's the thing. When we give gifts to our loved ones, I'd imagine we all want to give a gift that makes them feel special and loved and something unique. So may I suggest Storyworth. Storyworth is such a special gift. In fact, over the years, we have personally gifted it to most all of our family members because it's just that special. Here's how it works. Each week, Storyworth emails your loved ones a thought-provoking question that you get to help pick. Things like, What's the bravest thing you've ever done? What's the farthest you've ever traveled? Or how did you used to get to school every single day? Then you'll be emailed a copy of your loved one's response as they're submitted over the course of the year. So a full year of this special communication, okay? And after that year of fun, Storyworth compiles your loved one's stories and photos into a beautiful keepsake hardcover book that you'll be able to share and revisit for generations to come. I'm telling you, this is peak amazing. It means a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, it really is. And by the way, when it comes to the questions sent, Storyworth makes the writing process a breeze. All your loved one needs to do is respond to that email with a story, long or short, it doesn't matter. Every time we've gifted this to someone, it brings us closer together.
It really does.
Big time. Having specific questions that help you learn new things about someone you love every week is so, so special.
It really connects in a deeply special way.
Yeah.
And I learned so much about people that I've known for my whole life, you know? And these keepsake books will be passed down for our families for generations. In fact, 2 of the family members that we gave Storyworth to numerous years ago have since passed, and having this as a memory of them has meant so much. Ember then gets to look through it too, so the generational thing is really powerful. Family loves Storyworth. That's why it has more than 35,000 5-star reviews on Trustpilot, with millions of stories preserved since they were founded over 10 years ago. With Storyworth, I am giving those I love most a thoughtful, personal gift from the heart and preserving their memories and stories for years to come. Go to storyworth.com/momdad and save $10 on your first purchase. That's storyworth.com/momdad to save $10 on your first purchase. Okay, back to, by the way, one of my most favorite Pam moments, just going back to Pam quickly, is when they asked the questions about love languages and everyone was saying their love language, and then they said, Pam, what's your love language? And she said, oh, Italian.
Yes. I love that.
That was iconic.
Italian.
She goes, oh, Italian.
That's so good. Chipotle.
I'm like, Wicked's definitely my new love language. That's my love language.
Loathing.
Unadulterated loathing. We saw it again this weekend,
We
everybody.
did. It's fantastic.
We saw it again and we cried again.
Amazing.
Okay, Suzanne.
Yeah.
So, Suzanne, our character Suzanne, who the more I watch this, I texted Instagram Free Aunt Katie and I said, Insta Free Aunt Katie, I need you to watch The Later Daters, because Suzanne is Insta Free Aunt Katie in so many ways.
Big time.
Just like the perfectly put together home, absolutely charming charisma pouring out of every single pore, loves life, positive. But when it comes to the relationship end, the stuff that Instagram Free Katie and I, we've talked about it on the podcast with her before too, it's very like, we love a little game. And we also are a little bit like, you know, let me check out these guys and I don't know if I want to commit.
And that's what's funny is like, there's certain people who play the game, and then there's certain people who love the game. You know what I mean? It's a different thing. It's like, it's one thing to be like, oh, well, you know, you can't text a guy too quick. Well, you know what I mean? Like the people, they're overthinking the dating thing, and they're like, well, what should I do? And there's certain people who are like, no, I am the game.
I am the game.
Like,
and Suzanne...
The game exists because of people like me.
Yes. And Suzanne is the game.
Yeah. I mean, when you're doing it at 70 years old and you're still like dropping these I mean, it's very funny.
And my hot take about Suzanne, I think keep playing the game.
Like if it's fun for you and you enjoy it.
I think Suzanne, I don't feel like Suzanne actually really wants to settle down.
Well, you know what's funny?
I think Suzanne, she had the love of her life and she had this amazing, you know, something like 37 years or something with her husband. And now she's kind of just like, I'm dating.
Well, even later on, Avery was talking about her and he's like, want to get married? She's like, I mean, it's an option possibly. You know what I mean? Like, she's not even interested in, like, she's not lonely and looking for her. Like, she's lonely to some extent, but she's not like, I just need a man in my. She's kind of like, we'll see.
But she likes
Maybe I just
having
want someone
fun.
to date and have fun. You know
And
what I
that's
mean?
what Katie and I talk about sometimes too, where, you know, we're like, hey, if that person comes around, you're like, yes, I find that person and that person brings you joy, then 100% she'll be fully in, jump in. And I believe the same thing about Suzanne as well. But I think what brings you joy is dating and getting to know new people and being flirty and fun, because people like Suzanne and Katie, the zest for life is so palpable that it's like, I'm good. I'm good and I want companionship in the way.
Positivity that you can't teach.
Yes.
Just a natural positivity.
Yes.
Now, I will say, Suzanne is funny because, you know, it's that positivity and that zest that creates, like, a lineup, because
She's got to line up the
it's
door.
very funny. Logan was like, well, there's no question you're the runaway favorite of this entire experiment we're doing with everyone, because every guy is banging my door down to get back in contact with you.
Logan was telling her kids, she's like, your mom, everybody's in love with your mom.
So it's easy to play the game when everyone's texting you, Suzanne. You know what I mean? Because she's kind of like, well, I can play the game.
But I think
everyone's texting me going, when are we going to go out again?
I think
there is,
but I think there is a piece to when someone loves the game, people then want to play with you.
Of course.
Because there's a little bit like, I can sense that this person, there's like I don't necessarily want to commit, I just want to have fun. So then everybody's a little bit like, I'm down to try.
Right. And let's also be real too, with someone of that age, I would imagine there's not, like, these men aren't used to meeting a lot of women who are 65 years old who are like, we'll see. They're probably used to women being like, hey, you know, like, I'm down, like, and I'm not out here trying to date 40 guys. And Suzanne's going, I don't know. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean? And then they're like confused. So then they're trying to win her.
One of Avery's biggest mistakes that we see at the top of these episodes is before she goes on her third date with Jeff.
Yeah.
We see her and Avery is post football game in her home, post talking about the threesome, and he's like, I scare you. And I'm like, Avery, like, you just made
like, you thought that was a move.
You just made
used that in the past.
A massive mistake, because you're trying to play the game with the gamer, who the creator of the game. And she's like, oh, sweet. And
it was funny because the way she said,
I'm not scared of you.
Yeah, and the way she said it wasn't bashful. It was like she was disrespected.
It was like, you think I'm scared of how I'm feeling about you? Oh, sweetie.
You're afraid of me or you're scared of me is a risky thing, because if they're not, it's an immediate like, oh, please. Like, you think I'm afraid of you?
Like how I'm feeling right now with you?
Oh, it's embarrassing. I am not afraid of you.
Avery, why he might also be so captivated by Suzanne, is that you can tell Avery's very smooth. Avery's got game. He knows how to have a great chat. And so he's probably used to women being like flustered and like, oh my gosh, it's Avery. And Suzanne is in full control in the situation.
Yeah.
And so him saying, I think you're scared of how much you're feeling about me so quickly. It's like, oh, Avery, you just gave yourself a one-way ticket out of here.
Yeah.
Because Suzanne is like, I will be held down by no one. I am a free bird. I will fly.
Yes.
And it was funny because obviously jumping forward, she ends up shutting it down with Avery at the time because she's like, this is all moving too fast. She says, I'm more about reasons and seasons, not smothered and covered.
She's got all these southern sayings and
not smothered and covered, which to me, it was so, Katie, two words like, don't you dare smother me.
Yes.
And the second I feel like you're trying to hold me back and put a label on whatever this is, it's like, you got to go. And so that was kind of his ticket out.
Yeah.
Or then she was like, no, it's moving way too fast with this guy.
Yeah.
Ultimately, though, again, I know I'm jumping ahead, but she does end up telling Logan, she's like, I'm ready to choose one of these guys and to, see how it goes with him and da-da-da-da. She ends up choosing Avery.
Yeah.
And even when we get the 2 month later sit down, they're still dating like they were before.
Yeah, very casual.
And she's just kind
You
of
can
like,
tell Avery really wants to like move it along, and she's just like, I don't know, you're my toy right now. We'll see what happens.
yeah, Avery's just like, so marriage, huh? And you could tell he was like almost bringing it up for the first time. It's like they've been seeing each other for like 3 months at that point. And she's like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
It's like they haven't even talked about
He's like,
it.
yeah, totally. I might be open to it, but I got probably not. Probably not. I wouldn't.
He
Even.
desperately wants to be with her. And she's like, we're just dating.
Yeah.
It's a nice time. And I think, again, I do really believe that that works for her.
Yeah.
And if I'd be her dating coach, I'd be like, just do that.
Mm-hmm.
Unless, again, you're feeling in your soul where you're like, I really, really, really want a partner to spend with for the rest of my life. Okay, that's another thing. But she doesn't give me the energy like that's what she's asking for. She's like, I want a travel companion. But I think for Suzanne, it's a little bit like, yeah, but I mean, I could have 10 travel companions and we could just go on a rotation of who I'm currently dating.
Well, I think
and this brings me joy.
Let's talk about the guy she went on a date with. What's his name again?
Okay, so she ends up going on a third date, and it's with a man named Jeff. He's 59, divorced twice, 3 kids, and he's a director in the automotive industry, which means, by the way, money.
Right, seems like it.
A director in the automotive industry sounds like a cash cow to
well,
me.
he seemed, fine, but what's interesting is that his energy is very different than Avery. Avery's very playful, very fun, very big personality. And then you have, what's his name again? I just forgot again.
Jeff.
You have Jeff, who seems to be kind of the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Calm, patient, strong, confident, laid back.
Yes.
Kind of letting her, less banter, more like letting her be the sparkly thing in the room energy. Mm-hmm. And what I liked was that she didn't shut it down right away. She kind of, you know what I mean? Because she was kind of coming off of Avery that kind of like sparked her interest in that way. But then you could tell that she almost felt like, is it too much?
Yeah.
Whatever. So she gave him a chance. And I feel like what was interesting is I felt the same way she felt, which was she's kind of like, maybe this is a good fit for me. Mm-hmm. Like maybe I do need someone who's just kind of a nice, solid foundation for me to kind of be the fun one in the room.
Yes. Let her be the superstar.
Yes.
You can be the audience.
And they go on this date, and it's very just kind of like that. Like he opens up as it goes. He's kind of an onion. You could tell, like as they could
very
talk.
Stiff at first.
At first, very stiff, kind of awkward. Not really. No, she brought up her one-liner of the century. I did listen to podcasts with Matthew McConaughey on
Matthew
that.
McConaughey.
And he's like, oh, interesting. And she goes, mm-hmm. And like that's it. And he's like, so anyway, it's like third time's a charm, Suzanne. We love you. It wasn't working. Okay, no one was engaging with that. Okay, everyone goes, okay, cool. You have anything to say about the podcast? You're just bringing up podcasts. But she had her go-to, and she also loved her cheers. Her go-to cheer. She did that with every guy.
That needs to be, she's got to get merch popping for
but
that.
She definitely has like her one-liners. But what was interesting is she was kind of like really entertaining this concept with this completely different energy. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know her husband's energy, but it sounds like she was kind of trying, it sounds like her husband who had passed was maybe similar to Avery, like big, because she always said like, I like a big personality. She seemed,
I don't know, but I don't know if she ever really mentioned what he was
but the fact that she was so interested in the big personality, she's like, I love the big personality. Yeah. To me, kind of hit me as in like, I'm used to that. I like big personalities. I like fun. And the way that she has like, always going to the games and stuff kind of led me to believe that that's what she's used to. Because then when she's talking about Jeff, she's kind of like, this might be interesting.
Yeah.
This new mellow energy.
Do you think she considered him because of actually the mellow energy or because he said that he likes the Georgia Bulldogs?
Well, I think that's a big part of it. Also, I was very vindicated and shown to be true when they went to a wine tasting place and she's like, I don't know anything about wine. I just drink a lot of it. And I was like, I nailed that. I told you from day one. She's like, I like a guy who drinks. And that how I say that is by saying a nice glass of wine. But I don't even know what a nice glass of wine is.
I don't know anything about wine.
It just makes me drunk. And I like that feeling. You know what I mean? And so it's very funny. But what I thought was interesting about that was that even after she went on the date, even after she kind of thought to herself, this feels healthy maybe. Kind of felt nice to be in the presence of calm. Kind of felt nice to be grounded, solid. She couldn't get away from like I need my blood to spark a little bit. I need the energy. Yeah. I need the spark. And some people go, I need that. And maybe not to rant on and on and on, but I do feel like maybe early on in her life she could do Jeff. Because she's got the, young and you're kind of running around. You just need someone solid at home. But maybe at this point in her life, she's like, maybe I'm not really looking for all the marriage and stuff. So I just need like a good time.
Like Logan said at the very beginning of this, she's like, I don't think that Suzanne needs to find another great love as much as find a companion and a travel partner.
Exactly. And Avery's just a good time. They laugh their ass off together.
Now I wonder if she was actually like really down for Jeff. But then when he showed up for the boat date, she saw the shoes that he was wearing and she turned
Brother. Now, one thing I will say as a guy is this.
Shoe options.
I feel for men who are like older, who are being asked to show up to kind of, whether it be the date, the Nate date by the pool, or like the boat date.
We're supposed to be like nice, but also
supposed to be
casual,
nice, but sporty.
Yeah.
So it's like, as a guy, it's like, do you wear like a suit coat with like running shoes, like Jerry Seinfeld or something, or do you like show up in trunks and flip flops? But then she's going to be in some like coverall dress thing that's pretty with her hair, and you're like, okay. So then you end up wearing weird shit like Italian loafers with no socks.
He was wearing like no socks. They were like a deep blue paisley, but also maybe like crocodile,
like gator skin
with like a pointed toe.
Like cartel boots. You know what I mean? But then like up top, it's like Tommy Bahamas and a pair of shorts. So I saw that and I judged him, but then I also sympathized and go, no, what do you wear to those things?
I thought he was so lovely and adorable and I loved his energy, but as soon as I saw and they focused it on the shoes.
He was on in his head about the shoes too.
Also,
he was
the fact that they were zooming in, I was like, they're doing him
roasted
dirty.
His ass.
They're like, we're
ass.
checking out these shoes,
They're
and we're like,
whoa,
what's
look at Jeff with the shoes showing up with
shoes?
the blue gaiters on, walking around with two Crocs,
so
two rattlesnakes.
So like, did Suzanne see those and go, ooh?
Like, I would have. I would have
been a little like,
what is he supposed to wear?
But then he did take them off right before the boat.
Yeah, he was like, giving these things up. It was almost like the stylist was there and they're like, try these, and he's like, shit, really?
But she did try to make it work with him, and I do think she really did like Jeff. But I completely agree with your point that I think ultimately it was like, I like the grounding energy.
Yeah.
I like being the one who shines.
Yes.
But at this point in my life, I think it's more fun for me to be in a place where maybe I have my partner who I can riff with constantly. Yes. And it's always fun and wild. And yeah, even though he's my competitor because he's Alabama, we can go back and forth and I can razz him constantly. And, there's just a different type of energy there. But ultimately, she did end up choosing Avery as her final person. I loved in a FaceTime, he's like, I'm just the court jester and you're the queen. And I was like, she is 100%. The queen. And she couldn't stop thinking about him. So she ended up choosing him. And she realized, she was like, that was the other thing too. He's got a young kid too, 14. So that was another process because Frank and Avery
guys have like
these young kids, these
teenagers.
Young kids. But she had said, and I thought that this was a great note, that she had said that she needed somebody who was going to be on the same page as her, but she also was curious if he was being sincere because of his pace. She's like, you were going so fast and I didn't know if you were being sincere. And she said, I think we make a lot of assumptions about people at this age. And I felt that to be very powerful because I've noticed myself, the older I get, the harder it is for me to not make quick assumptions about people. You learn more, so there's that, but then you make more assumptions instead of just being open and honest because you've had these experiences in your life where you're like, oh, this person reminds me of this person reminds me of this person, this situation reminds me of this situation. We make a snap judgment.
Yes.
And so she's like, I made an assumption about him that he maybe wasn't being sincere when he was going headfirst into this.
Right.
So you can tell there's those little pieces of her too, where there's like, I want to protect my heart.
100%.
So it's like, she's the queen and she wants to play, but it's also like, I got to protect my heart.
There is defense mechanism vibes behind the game sometimes where it's like, the game works for me because I don't get hurt.
Yes.
So
yes.
Understandable.
I got one more quick thing to say about Suzanne that connects with The Bachelor.
Oh, interesting.
But let's take a quick pause
Okay.
before we chat about
all right,
that.
all right.
Okay. So family, listen, Nate loves his selfies with his
does.
dates, okay? But I wonder, where are all these going, Nate? You know what I mean?
I was thinking about
where do these selfies go? Doesn't it sometimes feel like all your favorite photos are just stuck on your camera roll? Wouldn't it be great to have an easy way to share and enjoy them with friends and family? That is where Aura comes in. Named #1 by Wirecutter, Aura frames make it incredibly easy to share unlimited photos and videos directly from your phone to the frame. And when you give an Aura frame as a gift, you can personalize and preload it with a thoughtful message and photos using the Aura app, making it an ideal present for long distance loved ones. It is such a special gift. I'm telling you, these loved ones that you give it to will use it every single day. We use our Aura frame every single day. And I'll tell you what, my stepbrother's girlfriend was actually telling me the other day that he got her the most romantic gift. And I was like, oh, what did he get you? She's like, well, he got me this Aura frame and he preloaded it before giving it to me with all of our first photos together. And so now, because they have a long distance relationship, she's like, now I have these photos and he uploads new ones on it as soon as they're together. And so then he's sending it to her when they're long distance. She's like, it's the most romantic thing ever. And so I'm like, go stepbrother. Yes, romance.
Putting the work in.
Yes.
I love that.
But with Aura frames, it's so easy to be so romantic
So
like that.
easy.
You know what I'm saying? It's seriously, it's so special. And I've shared this before, how we've gotten them for our family and it keeps us together in this really special way, feeling like even though we don't live in the same house, we're constantly adding new pictures of Ember. So the grandparents who also have the Aura frames get to see them, that we've given them these Aura frames. It just, I love them so much.
Yeah,
so
it really is the perfect gift. It's so easy to set up. It takes about 2 minutes to set up a frame using the Aura app. You can add unlimited photos and videos and invite as many people as you want to a frame. There's absolutely no hidden fees or subscriptions. High quality, great look too.
Yes.
It looks amazing.
Looks gorgeous. And save the wrapping paper. Every frame comes packaged in a premium gift box with no price tag, okay? Aura frames have been featured in more than 130 gift guides, selected 3 times as one of Oprah's favorite things, named the #1 digital picture frame by Wirecutter, The Strategist, and Wired, recommended by Fast Company, The Wall Street Journal, Forbes, and high-end home design publications. And I'm telling you, this is my favorite gift to give. Okay, so look at all those recommendations. I'm telling you, it's simply the best. It has a special place in our hearts. And today, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames by using promo code MOMDAD at checkout. That's AURA frames.com, promo code MOMDAD. This deal is exclusive to listeners, so get yours now in time for the holidays. Terms and conditions apply. I'm telling you, family, it's just beyond special. So check out Aura Frames, code MOMDAD. Okay, back to some final things about Suzanne. So we see that 2 months later, her and Avery, again, you know, they're still seeing each other, but it feels pretty casual. Like, I don't know. It felt casual, but I will say such a beautiful moment after she pours him the heaviest vodka drink of all time.
I don't know how to do this.
You got to tell me when. It's just
I just do wine.
To the brim. But she says, one day at a time and every day is better. And then you see the wind chimes. And she had said before that her husband, that's how he visits her, is through the wind chimes. And it was like, it made me so emotional to be like, it's like this moment of like her husband being like, you're doing it, babe. You're doing it. And whatever that looks like for you, like after me being gone, like you do you. Yeah. And just, I don't know. That was so, it was so beautiful.
It was touching. But I would date her just for the house. I mean, that house.
And the boat.
Do you love how,
and the boat.
And the dock.
And
the boat.
by the way.
And you like how she dropped kind of thing when she was talking to Jeff too? She's like, well, you know, I'll go in between my 2 houses. I have one in Atlanta and then one on the river here. And he's like, damn, okay, chill.
She's like, I went to school in Switzerland. Like, I mean, she's
cool.
She's got some stories behind her.
The bed.
I know.
It was like huge.
All the dogs
lush.
in there.
She's like, go settle down, doggies.
I love it so much. And then when she has her boat too, by the way, how hot was she when she just hops in the boat? She's like tying all the knots she's driving it. I was like, damn, it's she's cool. Sexy. It's so good.
Bringing the guys over to her massive pad and taking them out on the boat.
Woo, I loved it. So currently, I checked in to see where they're at, and this is a quote from Suzanne. We are really, really good friends. I talk with him a lot. I'm still interested in seeing him, she told the outlet. I would not say that we're an item. I think he's probably dating other people, and I'm seeing some other people too.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Which is exactly
so
how
they're
it
just
felt
out
like.
And about.
But by the way, that's how it felt like at the 2-month thing where, you know, I felt like the show was kind of like they're together, and I'm like, I don't know if I buy that. I'm pretty sure they're both still just also like he's not dating anybody else.
Right.
He is in love with Suzanne, and she's like, we'll see. I'm dating other people.
A bit of a booty call every once in a while if I want it.
Now, apparently, this is the connection to The Bachelor. I don't know how this how this came about and what she said, but apparently, it says that Suzanne recently has gone public about her crush on the Golden Bachelorette cast member Pascal. Oh my gosh. She might be the older, the quote unquote older woman that breaks him where he's down.
He's currently with someone who's 28, but she might be the one.
If anybody could do it, it's Suzanne. You know, Pascal, he's like, because Suzanne, I think she's 63, and he was like not in their 60s and 70s. She is the one to break Pascal and be like, I'll show you a thing or two about older women.
Yeah. Now, one thing I will say about her, to wrap her up.
She'd be a great Golden Bachelorette.
Well, let's not even go that far.
Yeah.
She'd just be great as a contestant on The Golden Bachelor.
Sure, but she'd be a great Golden Bachelorette too. She'd be
totally,
so fun.
But I'm saying
we wouldn't end up with anybody.
Would be she'd be great on the show.
So good on the show.
She'd be great on the show.
Oh,
there'd be so many one-liners and funny moments, and here with the girls and all that stuff. Like she should 100% be on the
women would adore her. The guy would fall in love with her.
She would be fantastic.
She'd be.
They need to get her on the show.
I know.
She'd be so fun getting out of the limo. How y'all doing? Like she'd be so fun.
Now I have these like hopes and dreams about her and Pascal though.
That would be insane.
I was tickled.
Of course she likes Pascal.
Of course she
unbelievable.
Does. Oh, I find him to be very handsome and charismatic.
So ridiculous.
Oh, and I bet he would love her hair.
Yeah.
You know, as a hairstylist, she's got that voluminous silver hair that's closer to God.
Yeah.
Jesus? No. Is it God or Jesus?
Like,
no,
chill.
It's God.
She's like, chill. That's a little too specific.
Oh, anyway, so sending you love, Suzanne. Please come on The Golden Bachelor.
Yes.
I beg of you. All right. Next, let's talk about Anise.
Yeah.
Who, okay, what we had seen so far with Anise and what Evan and I had talked about in the last episode was we were like, our hearts were hurting for her because Anise is such a gem, and she'd had these dates that it was like, no. And the guys, well, George stunk. And then the other guy was weird. And then Nate was like, she's too old for me. And it was just like, oh my God, of all people, please give Anise. This woman seems ready to be with somebody. Like she genuinely wants to find her person. Well, what a turn of events.
Yeah.
Because Dwayna, they end up letting Dwayna, her daughter, look through photos of potential options that they were thinking about for her mom. And I loved this because then they had Dwayna go through and she was like, no. And then she saw a guy. She was like, this guy, he's a silver fox. She said, shiver me timbers because of that big beard that he has. She was like, shiver me timbers. And she knew right away that her mom would be a smitten kitten with him. So she goes on this fourth date, and it's with this guy that Dwayna had picked named Willie. And Willie is 55, divorced twice, 5 kids, and he's a government canine specialist. So he works with the doggies.
Yes, love that. Huge fan.
Love working with the doggies. And when she walks in, we saw Anise walk in the 3 other times, and she was, more reserved, a little bit like, hi, how are you? I don't even think there was like hugs. She walks in and literally sees Willie and is like, and goes, wow.
That's all they were doing to each other, just mooing at each other. They were just doing that. They were grunting at each other the whole time. They were so hot for each other.
He sees her and he's like, oh, and she sees him. She's like, oh,
Yeah,
and
it's like
they like hold each other, and it is like they are so physically attracted to each other that they are unable to like stop the sounds of desire that are pouring out of both of them. It was like one of the audiobooks I listened to, family.
Well, what's
okay?
interesting is that I think what we found out about Anise is that her kryptonite is just a really hot guy.
A hot guy.
You know
Because
what I
Willie
mean?
is a
Because
10.
before that, she was just kind of always like, yeah, she was like, nice to meet you. Everything's cool. And then she meets Willie and she's just like, hello, I don't care what your personality is like. So it was kind of funny. And it kind of made sense because she's so obviously beautiful, but also like presents herself very, how do I say this? Like beautiful, I guess. Like her outfits are always 10. She always looks.
Oh yeah, those
so-
boots.
you know what
the
I'm
outfit
saying?
that she
Yeah.
showed up to with Willie, the thigh high boots with
that
the
is,
outfit.
she's my mom's age, and she comes out ready like she's 25. Like it comes out of the house.
By the way, a perfect
always-
example of what I'm talking about. Dress. Like a lot of
Right.
women in her age bracket would be like, oh, it probably looks too young. Look at Anise.
Right.
She looks incredible. Wear what you want to wear and
Right.
feel good about it.
And so
I
she's
love-
kind of really mastered her look, like the way she presents herself. It's
Yeah.
like she's just like, you can't look better than, you know what I'm saying? She looks incredible. The outfits are incredible. The hair, the makeup, everything looks incredible. And I feel like Willie's like the other side of that. Like
the male version.
Yeah, like he also was exactly the same. Like the look was 10 out. I mean, he's showing up in 3-piece suits to a basic date. Like they
Every time
both
we saw him, his
show
style was
up and
always a
show
10.
out. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
The beard is groomed perfectly.
And I think, it's almost like they recognized each other in that moment where it's like, I put a lot of effort into like how I present myself. They both do. They both look incredible. And I just feel like it's kind of funny to me that the daughter picked him out. And we later on see like him without his shirt on. And she's like, no, my mom likes a hot guy. Like, let's not like personality is important, sure. But like, he's got to just be hot.
Yeah, he's gonna be gorgeous.
For starters.
Yeah.
Because my mom's hot. And that's just how it rolls. And two hot people need to be together in the situation. And that's kind of the first and most important thing. And the daughter was 100% right. It was like, we'll figure out the personality later. I don't even know if you have one. But you're hot, I'm hot. Seems like this should work out just fine. And it made me laugh.
And they, the second she's like, he's 6'3" and magical.
Yeah,
she
that's
keeps
the
saying
perfect
he's
number.
magical. He's
You
the
know what I mean?
perfect height. And they are literally staring into each other's eyes. And she's like, I don't know. It's like the second I saw him, I felt this rush. And I'm like, that's called sexual energy.
Well, and I do believe that like everybody has their things they need. And like someone like Pam to me hit me as someone that like super high sexual chemistry isn't like high on the list. She kind of hit me as someone who's like, no, I want a partner. I want a friend. I want someone who's like interested. And then certain people are like Suzanne, maybe, where it's like, I want fun. I want interesting. I want dynamic. And then certain people are like, I need to feel that rush of like, I want to rip your clothes off.
My sexual chemistry.
And Suzanne, I mean, and
Anise
seemed to be like, that's what she needed
Well,
to kind of feel that initial fire.
And I was thinking too, with Anise's backstory, right? It's like she's had, like Logan had talked about with Suzanne and with Anise, they had their great love.
Yes.
Like Anise had her high school sweetheart who she tragically lost.
Yeah.
And it's like that will forever be, she is constantly doing things to make him proud when she sees him one day when she's on the other side as well. Like she's talked about this. So it's like, this is her great love. So it's trying to find for Anise, like how you said, Suzanne, it's like, hey, I want this travel partner. What does Anise need in this stage of life right now? And it seems like what Anise needs is that hot
She wants
chem.
to feel vital again.
Let's have that hot chem, baby.
Let's go back
And
to
like,
the original, which is just like that feeling when you're 20 and you see someone across the room and you're like, oh shit. Like
that
I want to feel
excitement
that.
and that sexual chemistry and that rush. And so I was so excited for her because it was like, oh, you saw this energy even following then their date And then the second one, and then into their 2 months later, where it was like the giddiness of it's like, this is what Anise needed at this moment, is to just have that spark.
And I also love that there's like
pulsating through
that she, they're making out in the woods.
Oh, by the way, Evan, I'm sorry. When he's leaning in and they start talking and she's like, well, what should I call you? He's like, you can call me whatever you want. The chemistry that those two had when they're like nose to nose before they kiss, I was drenched in sweat. Like it was
very intense, very hot. And the fact that like they kind of gave into it and just made out, like that's the only couple that did anything physical in front of anyone. And I just feel like it was like, let's not deny the chemistry. Let's not deny the fact that we have this. Let's give into it. Let's have fun. And I just felt like it's interesting. Logan said to everyone basically like, don't shut it down if you don't immediately have chemistry. Things can develop, things can happen. You can hang out with someone and all of a sudden, boom, there it is. But you can't deny when you got it right away. You know what I mean? There is something to that thing when you just walk into a room and two people look at each other and it's like, holy shit. What a gift.
I know.
What a gift that she deserves. That she put her whole life on hold to raise her kids, to take care of them, to kind of be super mom, to be this badass, everything. And then she's kind of like, she deserves that, like, I just want to walk into a room and be swept off my feet. Yeah,
and to walk into a room and have someone worship on the ground you walk and is just like, you're the hottest thing I've ever seen in my life.
And another hottie to do that too. A lot of times there's like someone who's super hot and someone who's not quite as hot, and the person who's not quite as hot is worshiping the hot one. But the fact that another super smoke show was like worshiping the other smoke show, that's cool.
I love for her too, because like Nate had been like, she's too old for me, and Willie's younger than Nate.
And dare I say it's 6'3" model. You know what I mean? It's not like Willie's this like not look, you know what I mean? Like Willie's no joke. And so he comes out and he's like, don't mind the age gap. You're gorgeous, so.
And,
I don't know,
and also too, Willie was like, what Anise likes is a guy who takes charge.
Yes.
And Willie was like, I want to be the one who takes care of you. I want to be the one who texts you first. And that's what makes her feel comfortable. And she got it with her interactions with Willie. That's what he wanted to do. And I liked too that Logan didn't push her to go against that.
Yes.
Logan was like, okay, if that's what he had communicated and you like that, then that's how you move forward with 100%. It. Like, you don't have to then, do what you feel comfortable with, right, in this situation. There were a few moments, though. Number one, the fact that he kept calling her Anise Patrice was sending me.
I identified with that.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, I haven't resonated where you'd be saying, like, I just kept thinking, I was just like, Willie, you don't have to say her middle name. Her name's Anise. You don't have to keep bringing up the middle name because you don't know the middle name. Just stop saying the middle name.
Alone. And then he spelled it. Like he got it wrong 3 times and then spelled it correctly, the wrong name. It was very funny. And then when he sees her for the second date, he calls her Patricia. And she's like, that's not my name, right? Like, and he's like, no, I just get it wrong so much. I want to start calling you that.
I'm like, you don't have to ever use the middle name.
Almost just like, it was like a
Evan,
brain
I don't think
worm.
Evans ever said my middle name out loud once. I'm like, you don't have to unless,
but he was so obsessed with getting it right now that he was calling it as her first name. Very funny.
And then the other thing that was killing me was when she called him, she's like, do they call you Big Willie? And obviously all of us were like, damn, Anise, like, you're just putting it out there. You're going there and taking it to the bedroom, and you saw him kind of like get flustered, and he was like, whatever. And then we find out when she tells Dwayna that Anise has no idea that Willie is typically referring to the genitalia.
Yes. It's funny. It is funny though how tuned in she seems to be, and like her fashion is modern and she's all like, but then she can't, she doesn't understand any like, and she seems to also be like very like, kind of, how do I say, like just aware of sexual energy and like picking up on the vibe and putting out vibes, and to not pick up on any reference to like penis is very funny. Like she did like 3 or 4 different things too, and he's like, well, there's another one, because she kept doing it, and it was like you with the gray sweatpants.
I
like
had
just
no idea.
Concept.
No, that made me laugh so hard when they were on FaceTime and she brings up that she didn't know what saying Big Willie meant, and then she's like, no, I was really just talking about your size.
He's like, there it is again.
You just did it again.
Yeah, it's very funny. It's also so like, our moms
like,
to
wait,
just do
no.
that kind of stuff and not pick up on the
But then
fact
she
that they're
never
saying
even
it.
said, like, she didn't even ever say, like, your height. Like,
No.
you're a bit, like, a tall guy.
They can't
like,
help
she
themselves.
oh my gosh. It was making me laugh so hard.
Yeah, because then later on, he's like, I love to, it was like they were feeding each other or something. And he's like, she's like, I love to put that in your mouth. And he's like, there it is again.
It's just
Like she can't help herself but make all these sexual innuendos like accidentally.
oh, they were so stinking cute.
Yeah,
and
they
the
were.
chemistry was off the charts.
Big time.
Okay, let's talk about their 2 months later and catch up with them. But first, we need to take one more quick pause. Family, you know, when it comes to finding a partner, some of these later daters, they can be picky. Understood. So am I. And you know who else is picky? Cats. Cats are picky. Okay. As is my dad, the cat king, especially when it comes to his cats. He's extremely picky. He's gone through a ton of kitty litter over the years. And what he has told me is the very best for him by far, Pretty Litter. Here's why. Pretty Litter's non-clumping formula traps odor and moisture. It's ultra absorbent. I am telling you, the trapping of odor that Pretty Litter provides is truly incredible. I have never once gotten a litter whiff when I am at my dad's house because he uses Pretty Litter. It's also lightweight, low dust, so not tons of dusty kitty paw prints left all over the place that you have to clean up. And 1 6-pound bag works for up to a month. So this small bag, not taking up tons of space, lasts for a month. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, and Pretty Litter ships free right to your door, so you never run out. You don't have those huge kitty litter bags taking up space, and even better, you don't have to lug those huge tubs from a store to your car and then into your house. So annoying.
And the biggest cherry on top of all of this is that it really gives kitty parents peace of mind because Pretty Litter changes colors to indicate early signs of potential illnesses in your cat, like urinary tract infections, kidney issues, and more. My dad raves about Pretty Litter, loving the convenience, the odor control, the cleanliness of the low dust situation, but most of all, the peace of mind that he gets for his kitties because of Pretty Litter. Pretty Litter is amazing. You have to try it. Go to prettylitter.com/momdad to save 20% on your first order and get a free cat toy. That's prettylitter.com/momdad to save 20% on your first order and get a free cat toy. prettylitter.com/momdad. Terms and conditions apply. See site for details. All right, back to Anise and Willie. So at the end of this, we get their 2 month later update.
Yeah.
What a gorgeous couple sitting together. Yeah. And they are giddy. Mm-hmm. Even the producers in the background are like, you two just cannot stop laughing. They're smitten kittens for sure with each other.
I was only just a little afraid. Not afraid. But I just felt a little bit like if I was going to coach her, just to be like, she was talking about how like, who would have thought I'd meet my person and all this. Like she was really talking seriously, which shocked me just because she seems not that person. So she's clearly like obsessed with him, which is amazing. And he seems to be the same. But I would just be like, ease up on how you're communicating, how serious you are. Because I just was a little nervous. I was like, is too much too soon.
Well,
you telling him that he's like your person after like a month.
But
I'm
you
just
hearing
like,
again at that age, and then it's like when you're when they're FaceTiming, they're like 2 hours talking on the phone, like and they're over the moon, and they probably feel like they're 20 again with the level of chemistry. That was the only
thing that was just kind of like, whoa, like she just kind of jumped in so heavy that I just didn't want her to get hurt.
Well,
so that was my only thought.
So to what you're saying. They obviously have this killer chemistry. In fact, there's a point where they're at like dinner with the producers and he's like, what's under the table? And she's like, behave. And I'm like, are you two canoodling under the table?
Right.
Like it's palpable.
Right.
Well, I checked in and as of now, they're no longer together. They're no longer together. They broke up after 6 months of being together. And she said that it's because they really didn't have a lot in common. And I will say,
hot for each other.
I will say, when you were hearing their conversation, it wasn't going. It was just
how hot each other were. It was like, you're hot. No, you're hot. It wasn't going
super deep. It was very much the sexual chemistry. But walking away from it, I still, even though knowing that they're not together, I still feel excited for Anise because I feel like she needed this. Like it was that that lightning rod that was like a reminder of like, you can feel this youthfulness, right?
Yes.
You can feel that crazy chemistry. Like you had this 6 months of a wild romp with somebody, right? And that feeling that's you can't put into words when you feel that chemistry towards somebody. And she said that she's dating a few men right now, that she's extremely happy. And I think for Anise with this journey, because like we said last episode, Anise seemed like the individual who were like, you know, as far as coaching goes, Logan was like, you're good. It's just when you find the right person.
Yeah.
And I could even tell too, when Logan came and visited her for the last time, her and Dwayna, Logan was like, she even said something like, my bestie. Like you could tell Logan felt the most connected to Anise.
Yeah.
She loved her. There was a connection there. Anise just seems amazing. And I think for Anise, what she got out of this was probably an excitement, this spark that she got with Willie that felt real good, I'm sure, for 6 months. And then that conversation with Dwayna where her kids are recognizing and honoring her journey and seeing that like she's a different person. And also she wants to be a different person in her relationships and to honor that space and make space for that.
Yeah.
And so though they're not together anymore,
There's hope.
I am excited for Anise because I feel like this journey probably was an amazing experience for her to help her just get that zest, you know? So
Agreed.
that's how it landed with her and Willie.
All right.
So there's that. There's that. Let's talk Lori.
Okay.
I want to talk about Lori. Okay. So Lori, she'd had her date with foot fetish guy, Ty, which killed me that she was telling her daughter at the beginning about it and was like, I'm down for the foot fetish. Like she was super down. She was like, I get it. I'm down for the foot fetish. She's like, I'm not okay with the white t-shirt he wore under his shirt. Like foot fetish were good. The white t-shirt he wore really threw her off. That t-shirt that you could barely see peeping out. It was like, it's a no-go for her.
Yes.
She loves her style. And so that was something.
But that's also classic, like when you're not into someone, you're going to be
You're
like,
gonna feel that way.
I didn't like the way
Yes.
their ear was in the hat. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna find random shit to be like, not my thing.
Well, when Logan comes over and has dinner with Lori and her kids, one thing that I noted is that Lori was busy in the kitchen the whole time. While she's talking to Logan about the date, she's prepping all the food. She is moving the entire time.
Yeah.
And she's a doer.
Yeah.
And so then we have a moment where Logan's like, I need you to put a timer on your phone, Sean, for 5 minutes where your mom can't interrupt and talk.
Yeah.
And the kids were like, I've had to learn how to, you know, find my space in conversation because mom is always chatting.
I didn't even know who I was because she was who I was.
And the thing about Lori is that I thought it was so funny too that Lori was like, damn, Logan, like you're so tough on me.
Yeah,
Like,
Logan was like, we need to work on you more than this dating thing.
yeah,
right now.
Logan was tough on Lori, but the thing that I found to be really refreshing about Lori is that it was like Lori, clearly she's a doer, she's a badass. She has all her shit together. She's this powerful personality with the interviews and everything. But Lori, regardless of how tough Logan was on Lori was always really open to receive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like she really did try.
Yeah.
And even after the date with Ty, she wasn't like, ugh, no. And then she had her date then after with Martin, and she wasn't like, no. She was still open to receive.
Yeah.
And she said, she's like, I want to get into like my soft, sexy era.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to step into the stuff that I'm not comfortable with. I'm going to text Felton. I'm going to FaceTime him. And so I was excited for Lori. And again, jumping forward, even though she didn't end up walking away with someone, I felt excited for her that at an older age and as badass as she is, she was still willing to like receive.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
100%. That's hard, especially when you're older to
It's so
just
hard.
kind of be grilled like that. So
I mean, at my 36 years of age, it's hard to receive certain things
and
when
on TV too, to know like this is going to be out there for everyone to see too. It's even more like kind of jarring.
Yes. And she was, you know, she stood firm by certain things where she's like, I don't want to build a man. And so Logan's like, well, what about style wise, like you can help a guy dress. And she's like, nope. I was like, Lori, I think maybe that's what we're going to have to really learn, because Lori's so stylish and her crush is this guy Felton who's so stylish, where it's like, you can help dress someone and it can be a fun thing. It's not a project. I get the idea of being like, I don't want to build somebody. I totally understand that, being like, hey, I don't want to sit here and choose a guy who's like a fixer-upper where we got to work on all this emotional stuff and opening up and whatever. Get that. But as far as clothing goes, I'm like, that's something.
She felt very much like Nate to me.
Yes.
Where it's like Nate's thing is cleanliness and kids out of the house, and has these prerequisites that are like, I will not see past them.
Yeah.
Because I'm more interested in maintaining my lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And then she was kind of the same. She's like, I have my lifestyle and my isms and things that are like deal breakers to me. And I do feel like the people that generally have the most success in dating are the people who are the most flexible.
Sure.
Who are able to kind of just go, oh, this is interesting. Let me try this. Oh, let me not judge this immediately. Let me not make a decision that this isn't going to work.
Not change who you are, but like be willing to...
Just being able to flex, like how you want them to flex into you and you flex into them, meet in the middle somewhere. Where some of these guys, Nate and Lori are a little bit like, I'm not flexing.
Yeah.
You have to fit exactly into my world.
Sure.
And it's kind of like...
So it's going to be hard to find
It's going to be really hard, because it's like you would have found them by now, because you're in your own world and they exist and you're not fine. So you got to start learning to be flex a little bit. And so, when you're like 60 something years old and you're like, he has to be a fashion god. I'm like, I don't know how many 63-year-old guys are fashion gods, like very few. So now you're trying to like dip into like 10 years younger than you. Now you're dealing with all the shit that comes with that. So tough. You know
I was like, if we can let go of the fashion god, I think we could find some great success here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
I don't think Ty was the guy at all.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
The fact that it was very funny, he invited himself to the birthday party.
No, that was Martin.
She's like,
no, Martin.
Is Ty the stylish guy?
No, Ty is foot fetish guy.
No. Martin was very funny. Martin was out of his depth. Martin was like, I've never been to a party, and in the middle of her birthday party is like, can we leave now? And she's like, are you out of your mind? You invited yourself to this thing. He's like a sweet little church pastor guy. Like he's like, I don't.
Hold on, I want to talk about Martin, because when they went on this date, right?
Yeah. I
was just like, two people could not be less compatible, because he immediately is just like, she's very particular because she's smelling the candles and she doesn't like them. And the way that he's just saying certain things, she's like, do you like aggressive women? He's like, so long as they know when to turn it off. I'm like, this is not going to go well.
He's a guy that like is adored by all the old little ladies in his church. And then he kind of gets like a false sense of like, how amazing of a catch he is. And so he comes in and he's kind of like, aren't you supposed to be just fawning over me?
Well, and he's like, I'm going to be a deacon. And she's like, I cuss too much. And so the energy between them during their date, the entire time was very much like this is not going to happen.
The energy.
But then when she brings up her birthday party and he's like, well, I'd love to go if you'll have me. Then
what's she going to say now? No, I mean, geez, like
I love in her IDMs where she's like, okay. I feel like I'm being rude if I tell him no, because I did bring up my birthday party. She's
she messed that up big time. It's very funny.
So what killed me is that here Martin is. We see Martin in the candle date. He's tight, church guy, likes things a certain way. Doesn't seem like he's vibing with her. But then when he shows up for her birthday party, he walks in and he's like a fully new guy.
Yeah.
He's wearing shades. He's got this open shirt with a gold chain. Yes. His Armani bag is slung on him.
He went shopping.
He went shopping.
Because
we saw him on the date, dressed nicely, but not like stylish, right? He then found out from her what she does, because he asked, he's like, what do you do? She's like, I'm a celebrity media correspondent. And he Googles her as soon as he goes home. And he's like, oh, this is the birthday I'm attending? So he gets a full new wardrobe.
Calls the church. He's like, guys, is it okay if I take some money out for a little bit of
style revamp situation? I need an Armani Express pack.
Very
and
funny.
And when he was rocking his shades and he comes in with the flowers and he's like, well, look at you. Completely different energy. He was like role playing social media or like a celebrity situation, and it was making me laugh so hard.
But he was still like, and not trying to be a dick, but he was still like insecure because he walks in and he sits down with her and he's like, can we leave basically? And she's like, my birthday party? And he's like, yeah. He's like, at least you could do is just look me in the eyes. Like he was so like insecure about the fact that like she wasn't worshiping
like,
him at her birthday, that he was like, will you at least look me in the eyes and show me some respect? Like he's just not used to like a socialite woman who can like, who's bouncing around the world and working there. He's like, your birthday's supposed to just be me and you on a date night.
Well,
like,
and then she was bouncing around, and because he didn't know anybody, and I felt for him in that way. You know, when you walk into a party, you don't know anybody. You're like, oh, and so he was behind her the entire time when she was
they're taking pictures with people, and he's just like right there. Like a real guy who's never been to a party. 100%. The guy has not partied. And he just didn't know how to like, oh, I'm going to cruise over the side and start talking to people. He's just kind of watching her and staring at her like, is there any guys here that she's going to talk to? It was very funny.
And then he ended up leaving, and her kids were killing me afterwards because her kids were like, yeah, I don't think that
was
Martin's
not
going to be
energy.
the first. But here's the thing. Lori gave him a chance.
Yeah, she did.
And 100%. I was really impressed by that because from, you know, her specific things that she was looking for and wanting, I thought that she was going to be like, no. And with all the guys, she was actually quite open to continuing to try to give them a chance. She let this guy come to her damn birthday and follow her around, and she wasn't like, go away. You know what I mean? Yeah. She also wore to her birthday a shirt that had her glasses on it, so she was like wearing her trademark, which is like a whole different level.
Funny. The birthday was like it was like a celebrity event. They had a photographer. Like it was
her
very
level
funny.
Of branding is like a 10. She's like, I've got my shirts with my glasses on them. Logan, you have the audacity to tell me to take off my glasses. This is my signature. This is me, I have merch.
Well, she probably had the merch made after Logan told her not to, as like a defiant move.
I don't know. I think that's Lori. But then the Lori and Felton situation, which I can't lie to you, made me feel very sad.
Well, it was also too, it was a classic. I was mad at Felton. I knew he wasn't into her.
But I was mad at Felton.
He was playing her.
Yes.
Because she has cool events he wants to go to. He's texting her babe, he's sending her wine, he's all this stuff, but I knew he wasn't into her. And so
we find out he slid into her DMs.
Right.
He initiated conversation. He's sending her wine. He's saying, babe, I miss you. So her kids and Logan are hearing this going, he likes you, Lori.
He knew what he was doing. He knows if I can flirt with her. No, I'm not saying it was malicious, but I'm sure it was like, you know, make her feel a little bit like have a crush on me. Then she's going to invite me to cool events.
But then
she's
going to want me to be around. Birthday, and then he like FaceTimes and he's like, hey, can I take you out to dinner?
Exactly.
And so then it makes her feel like we're going out on a date.
But again, I think because she has connections and stuff, he doesn't want to lose the connections. So he's like, I kind of got to tease her along a little bit. And
I think he's like a fashion. The vibe that I got, because she was then talking about his hats, part of me
like
wonders if he's like a designer.
Yeah.
And maybe he's
because he presented her with a hat.
Yeah.
Called her Miss Dimples. Like he knew what he was doing.
That's what I'm saying. And the thing is, like, he had, I think the vibe that I got is that maybe he's a hat designer or like a fashion designer in some form. And like you said, she's super connected. He slid into her DMs and then was flirty enough with her, sending these like the back and forth good morning texts to then like kind of keep her on
100%.
That like feel.
If she has a crush on me, she's going to prioritize me.
And it made me feel really sad. It made my heart hurt, and I got upset at Felton.
I know.
And I was like, and the thing too is like when they were talking, like he would never like look her in the eyes when she was like wanting to like have these kind of intimate conversations with her. And I was like,
brutal.
Felton,
she's like, so is there anything romantic here? And he's like, you know, you're a great person. It was just like, it hurt.
Tough. It really hurt.
But she's tough as nails, man. To be able to like just present it like that, and then just be like, all right, I understand. Thanks for being okay. Like she just moved on. And
then she said too, she was like, and in the follow-up, like how it's where it's at now, she said like, we're great friends and we love spending time together. And I'm like, shout out to her, like so gracious.
Yeah.
You know, she's, yes, like Logan said, there are these things like maybe in a dating relationship world, like we've got to cross these certain bridges, but an incredible person.
100%.
And the ability that she had to handle that rejection, I couldn't have. I would have been, this is the guy that she's had a crush on. And it was so brutal. And she was so like gracious with him and didn't like make it into his fault. It was just like, okay, well, you don't feel that way. And thank you so much for being honest with me.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, I got to take some notes in that way.
And he's like, damn, my connection's gone. Okay, well.
But he did it because they stayed friends.
Yeah.
And I think she probably still likes him.
Oh, of course.
oh, it made my heart hurt a little bit. But I'm so hopeful for Lori that maybe through this process, even though Felton didn't work out and she didn't end up finding somebody, that maybe some of the things that Logan had talked about, that she talked about with her kids, that maybe open her up more to dating the guy who doesn't have the perfect sense of style, or maybe dating the guy who isn't in the industry, and be a little more open to that, and maybe find your person. Kind of like what we were saying with Suzanne, where maybe a person for her at some point who would be good would be a Jeff who lets her be the star.
Yeah.
I feel like Lori would really be, it would be a great relationship for Lori to be with someone who lets her be the star. Like that quiet energy behind her, who supports her, who shows up to her gigs and is like, you're incredible, you're a goddess, but is a little more like in the shadows and lets her shine.
Yes.
And I hope that maybe she's able
a super
to.
secure, super cool Martin.
Yeah.
Who's just kind of laid back, like he definitely had the energy of like, I'm not the life of the party.
Yeah.
But someone who maybe understands, who maybe works in the industry, but like isn't quite on camera.
Yeah, or even isn't in the industry.
Right.
And it's just like,
Just a
you're
cool,
so
laid-back guy.
amazing, but I'm confident. I could see Lori with like someone who's like a retired lawyer, like did well for himself, confident,
and
tough
just lets
job,
her do her thing.
and is like, wow, look at my woman and how like look at Lori and how incredible she is.
Agreed.
But I hope that for her.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, next we have Nate. Now, Nate was it was another situation where Nate ended up. I want to talk about Nate and Jackie, but we'll wrap with Nate and Jackie, his ex. Nate ends up going on another date. He had a great date with Lisa, but he doesn't want to commit, so he goes on a fourth date with a woman named Michelle. Michelle is divorced, 55, 3 kids, and is an actress.
Yes.
Okay. Nate shows up in the fit for the pool, which he looks great. The hat was a wild choice. He looked so good.
Crocodile Dundee.
He looked so good, but then the hat was like, what?
It was like super practical. You know what I mean? It was like a practical hat.
It was like an adventurer's hat.
Yeah, it was like, we're going to go get stung by scorpions together. It was very Coyote Peterson.
Very Coyote
If you have a child who loves Coyote Peterson, heads up. If he was serving, I mean, I honestly think it was Coyote Peterson's hat. It was the exact same hat.
Serving Coyote Peterson.
Very low, very safari.
Well, here's the thing. He ends up meeting up with Michelle.
Yeah.
He thinks she's hot. She's beautiful.
Yeah, he's
okay.
definitely got the hots.
He's like, she's stunning. She's an Army vet too. And something that immediately I felt with him and Michelle was Michelle reminded me of his dynamic with Jackie.
She would roast him, jab him. They were having a fun banter. They'd make fun of each other. That's the kind of thing that we see with Jackie that we're like,
who is
what's
this
missing
guy?
then?
Right,
You know
because
what I mean?
Nate is like, seems like when he's with Jackie, seems like such a different guy. He loosens up so much.
He likes to kind of
so
have that
playful.
banter.
He loves to just throw back and forth and be playful. And with Michelle, they right away had that. She was giving him a hard time. He was giving her a hard time. And he felt like himself right away in that space. So it's like, okay, I got a beautiful woman who is down to go back and forth with me.
I like it too because he kind of like presents very like, I don't have a sense of humor.
But he's really funny.
But he likes to be razzed. It's like then he opens up.
He's funny and he's
It's very
playful.
funny. Yes.
He's playful.
He's very playful.
He definitely has a lot of walls up, which like we said, he's a great dater. He's very charming on dates.
Very good on dates.
But when you see him then in his home with his family and his ex, it's not just charming. He's funny and he's spicy and
he seems
quick.
to react to a woman that like won't put up with his shit.
Yes.
Like, you know, like when Jackie walks in, she's like, give me something to drink. I'm thirsty. And he's like, what do you want? He's like, get out of my kitchen. You know what I mean? Like he kind of likes that, like someone who kind of butts up against him and has fun with them. Cause then he starts to relax. But the ones who are just like sweet, he kind of seems to kind of not know what to do almost.
Yeah.
And just like says nice things and they say nice things to each other and then they walk away. But he kind of likes that fire.
He keeps reminding me of my dad because my dad loves that too.
He likes
It's
the
just-
jab.
My
It doesn't
dad,
seem like it when you first meet him. You're like, this guy wouldn't like that. And then you do it
and then my
he likes it.
he loves a strong woman who's going to be like giving him a hard time. Yeah, he
100%.
lives. So it goes really well with Michelle.
Yeah.
And he ultimately ends up making his final choice. And he chooses Michelle out of the 4 dates. On the date, everything is going great. They're at a comedy show. They're being playful together. she asks him what his dating coach was like telling him about, which I loved, that she like right away was just like, let's get into why do you have a dating coach, by the way? Why are you on this show?
Yes.
Whatever. And he brings up the cleanliness. This is where it all starts to unravel, because she you can tell is willing to be like, hey, I'm down with you needing your order, but like, how are you going to feel when I'm rushing, getting ready, and I have clothes on the
He's like,
ground?
that's all at your house. I don't know. You can figure that shit out. He's like, you could make it as messy and gross as you want at your house.
And she's like, no, but what if I'm at your house?
Yeah,
and he goes, well, I mean, that's not going to happen.
Non-negotiable. Yeah.
Because you have your house, and that's what we're doing. We're adults, and you have your house, I have my house, and you live in your house, I live in my
And
house.
I like how she was roasting him too. She's like, what if I take my drink and I just move it here?
And so ultimately, when we end up catching up with him 2 months later, he's like, Michelle and I aren't together.
Yeah.
She doesn't mind a cluttered home.
Yeah.
So we're just friends. And then he
that's very, I mean, I get it to some extent for sure, but then there's also a level like he doesn't like the Georgia Bulldog, so he's out kind of energy,
Yes. But then he's like, I reached out to Lisa. She's already in a relationship. So he's like, it's like, well, here's the problem, I think. So Logan brought up, before he ended up choosing Michelle, when he first went out on the date with her, she's like, Nate's problem is that he wants to like Frankenstein a woman.
What do they call it? She had a name for it. There was a name for the type of person that does that.
I don't
forgot
remember
what it was like. Anyway, there was a
she
name.
said he wants to Frankenstein a woman
Yes.
together, where he's like, he goes out on a date and he's like, I want to take this attribute,
Yes.
this attribute, this attribute, and put it all together. And so instead of just like finding someone and realizing that no one's ever going to be a perfect person, that it's like, well, I just got to keep looking until I find someone who combines. And it's almost like the more dates he goes on, the more attributes he finds that he likes, that he then is like, well, I need that now too, and want to combine
Yes.
all of this together.
Big time.
And then what I noted in his 2-month post interview is that he was like, listen, what I've noticed is that there's not a lot of guys out there. So when a woman sees a halfway decent guy like me, they're all in. And I'm like, oh no, now we have a problem, because now what's happened
too interested.
is that Nate's feeling like, well, now that I've gone on these dates, I'm realizing that all of them were like down, because I'm a good looking guy, I've got my shit together, and it's a tough dating world out there. So now there's almost this energy of like, Nate's like, well, now the world is my oyster.
I'm a king,
I can date anybody. And so now I left a little concerned for Nate, because I'm like, I don't know. What he did walk away with, which I'm really happy for him, is the injury piece, where he's like, I'm learning that like that's actually something that when I bring it up, it benefits me on these
Sure.
dates, that being open and vulnerable about certain things is going to be beneficial. But where we left is I was a little concerned, where I'm like, oh no, is he now in like full Frankensteining a woman together?
Yeah.
To
I'm
be
a
like,
rock star
he's like,
energy.
now I know that there's not a lot of great options out there. So now
I'm gonna
I
be
can
extra picky.
exactly. So I was concerned
Tough.
about that. But during all of these episodes, we do have a moment where the producer, we hear them finally say, what's going on with you and Jackie? What's this dynamic, the two of you?
Right.
She's your ex. Oh, you two seem perfect together. They both were like, well, we've thought about it before,
Right.
and we've talked about it, but we don't think we're compatible. But we never got a clear answer from either of them. And it was like, yeah, but
I bet they hook up every once in a blue moon.
you think?
I bet they every once in a
See, I don't think
blue
so. I bet it's
moon.
been like absolute. See, because their friend energy is so deep to me now. It doesn't feel like to me that they're
ever even
having a
has.
hookup. No, I think it's like they love each other so much.
They have a daughter together, obviously. Like, there's a deep
But like that's the
connection
person
there.
who he chose to go on this journey with.
Yeah.
And then when he was thanking her, it made me emotional. It was like, that's your love. Like, you're thanking her for being there for you. And again, a woman like Jackie was so incredible through the process, who was never like being particular about the women, was telling him what he needs to work on and encouraging and supporting all these women.
It's kind of amazing. I feel like you could have two women in your life. You could have like your romantic lust partner and then your soulmate who's your best friend, but you just don't have sex with.
But I was wondering the whole time, I kept thinking about Jackie, that I'm like, Jackie, whoever he chooses,
Yeah.
is going to need to love Jackie as well.
100%.
And Jackie
okay
seems like
that.
somebody who's so open arm.
Jackie seems amazing.
Like so amazing. God, I love Jackie so much.
But I could be intimidating if you're not. It would take time to kind of get used to that dynamic.
Of course.
Wait, that there's this like woman that you share a kid with who comes over every day and you guys hang out and you're best friends.
And you guys have this spark.
Yeah. Like,
But-
whoa. And I'm intimidated by your guys' chemistry.
But what I've noticed is at the very end of the 2-month segment, when he's telling her how much he appreciates her and they're batting back and forth with each other, he's saying, and we'll see what the future holds. And he bites his lip and he's staring at her. And I'm like, the chemistry started to pulsate off the screen.
Yeah.
And so when I checked in to see where he's at, he's still single.
Yeah, of course.
You know, nothing new has transpired. I have hope for these two.
Okay.
I really do. I have a feeling he's 56 right now. Give it 10 years. I think he's going to stay. He'll date on and off. Like he said, she's looking for her Mr. Right too. She'll be dating on and off. They are a movie, these two. They come together after their dates. They'll date someone for 6 months and then they're there for each other when it ends. And
maybe.
And in 10 years, these two, it's going to be like, you're the love of my life. And yes, I believe it deep in my soul. They are a walking movie and it will happen, but it's going to be 10 years. It's going to be later in life.
We'll see.
I feel
We
it.
shall see.
I know it. Okay, we've got one more individual of which we really didn't get to know this person super well. We kind of got him on the tail end. His name is Greg. He is 61, divorced twice, single for 12 years. We see him golfing. He loves
I think he has like a driving range in his backyard.
was that in his
I
backyard?
think so. Because he was, maybe not, I don't know, but it kind of looked like it because it was like transitioning between him and then he has like the coolest like outpost in his backyard. With
whatever
like,
his house situation looked
he's a construction guy, so he like has a very cool
He owns
house.
a construction business, and him and his 2 sons are extremely close. And I loved seeing the dynamic between him and his 2 sons. Like their relationship was beautiful. They were always there with him and like walking through everything with him. And he's like, I'm a big catch. I'm like a marlin, but his biggest issue is he doesn't like the apps. He hasn't liked the apps. That's been the big hump. And when he met Logan, he talked about how the first marriage, who's the mother for his 2 sons, Ryan and Cal, Ryan has cerebral palsy. And so he said they were super focused on him. And I love the way he put it, where he was like, hey, the marriage suffered, but what happened is that we ended up getting this incredible blessing, who is Ryan, who we adore. But they ended up getting divorced because our marriage suffered through it. Got married a second time, tried to blend a family of 7 kids, which is real intense.
Gnarly.
But he says he's willing to learn. But then at the same time, when she's like, what's your type? He's like, Penelope Cruz
Or Jennifer
Aniston. Gotta be fit. I'm like, oh God, here we go.
Yeah, it's a little weird
I'm
too
like,
because he's like in
Greg.
his 60s and like these women are probably in their 50s or like late 40s. So, and you're like, what's your type? I don't know. 2 of the hottest,
the hottest women
ever.
that have ever graced the planet.
You know what I mean? It's like, got it. Okay, so you're one of those. You know what I mean?
Gross.
Like, Jesus, bro.
I mean, you mean the person who we're all in love with?
My type, Victoria's Secret model meets famous actress.
Unbelievable talent.
Yeah. Not just the looks. I need the talent as well.
The personality.
Meets doctor. So she needs to be a Victoria's Secret model who's also a doctor and a lawyer.
Dr.
And also
Victoria.
who is owns 7 orphanages. So whatever, just you go through your dating thing and
Someone who
figure it out
runs
for
a
me.
nonprofit, Dr. Victoria, Victoria's Secret model doctorate,
Very
etc. And she was just like, well, you need to be open, Greg, to whatever like package walks in. Like you need to be open to whatever walks in that door. And he's like, well, attraction has to be there. And she's like, well, but you have to understand that like they may not, you're older, they may not look like Penelope Cruz and Jennifer Aniston. And if they don't look that way, like you still need to, like, there could still be something there.
But I got to give it to the guy. I mean, he is confident and he's like, I know I'm a catch. And I'm like, you know what? We appreciate someone who values themselves. Usually when you're all like, I don't know, he's like, no, I'm hot.
Yeah.
And I have a big fin and I'm the man. Now, I thought, to be honest with
He
you,
did tickle. He was one of those guys that I was like, everything he was saying, I was like, oh God. And then when he like was meeting Logan too, he was like, I thought I wasn't going to like you. There was something
there's a charmness.
There was a sweetness.
But I will
there.
say the most interesting thing about his whole segment were the two women he went on dates with.
1,000%. So the first one that he went on a date with was Kelly.
Kitten.
Yes, who was 59, divorced, 4 kids, dental hygienist. And she said in her ITM, she's like, I like having sex daily. And I think I'm a catch because most men like sex.
Well, and she
like,
was
sex every day.
And she was a little vixen. I mean, she's like, shows up. She's like, one Shirley Temple for me. And he's like, what the hell's a Shirley Temple? It was very funny. And then it's like, let's go water skiing on our date. He's like, what? She's in a bikini water skiing.
Crushing it.
Dude,
like lifting legs up and like.
And even just the way that she was kind of sitting on the boat. It was very like younger, like 20, 30 years younger
and
energy.
The champagne and she's like, oh my god.
Yeah, she was very funny and also just very sweet and charming and just kind of a character. She was a little character. And I felt that
she gave me Marilyn Monroe.
A big time Marilyn Monroe energy. You could tell that he was a little intimidated, a little bit out of his depth, just kind of in general, almost. Just kind of like, you're like living a completely different world than I am almost. Like she's water skiing and the whole thing. And he's just kind of like, what? It just felt like one of those things that she put him on his back legs right away with the whole date.
I know. I thought she was going to like, honestly, I felt he was struggling so much that I thought that when he got like left, talk about humbling. She's crushing it and he can't even get up. Yeah. I thought he was going to walk away and she was going to like see the boat captain and be like, yoo-hoo.
Yeah, exactly. Very
like,
yoo-hoo energy.
Yoo-hoo.
Yes.
They were going to take off together
funny.
to Ashante.
What a little character she is.
I loved her vibe. She was adorable. But she was down.
Yeah.
And he was like, we'll see.
Yeah.
And I was like, Greg, come now, sir. Are we really going to do the we'll see with this like catch and a half that you have found in Kelly, who's just this like just this Barbie doll of positive energy? And you're like, I think I need to see more options.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think I need to see more options. I just also think that like he wouldn't admit it, but like he couldn't keep up with her. There was a little bit of that. Like, that's true. You know, she was 20 years younger mentally and was acting so much younger. You know, I just felt like he was a little bit like, this is not.
Well, but then he used the excuse. He's like, she lives an hour away in like metro traffic. He's like, the rest of my life isn't worth it for that traffic.
Such an old guy
and
thing
I'm just
to do.
like,
He'd be like, oh, God damn, I can't meet you. There's 45 minutes of traffic to get to you. It's like such an old guy thing to do. My parents are the same way. It's like, you live where? It's like 40 minutes. Oh, we're never going to see you for the rest of our lives. You know what I mean?
But then his second date is with Sherry, and Sherry is 60, divorced 3 times, 13-year single, 2 kids, VP of sales, motorsports. This woman is so chic and sexy. Evan, I cannot handle
Isn't
her.
it interesting how people have a thing where when it's almost like they know when the other person's not into them or they're not going to get with them, and then that's the person they're interested in? Isn't that interesting? Like,
yes.
Like she knew immediately. Like,
I think it can be not to stereotype, but I think it can be a little bit of a male thing.
Sure,
too,
sure. But it's like, she's like, I date 45-year-old Italian race car drivers.
Yes, she was kidding.
Not 65-year-old guys.
Or like he works for the UN. You know,
she dates sculptors.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
She's not dated someone her age in 20 years. Like, she's so cool, sophisticated. Her glasses and she just looked New York.
And she also stunning.
I put down, she looks like a museum, like someone who owns a museum or like a museum curator, art curator. She owns 6 to 7 different art installations. She
looks like she's best friends with Anna Wintour.
Yeah,
okay?
she just has that like super, and she's just like, yes, I travel all around the world. I was in Turkey, and he's like, where's that? Like,
yeah, she's like, where's your favorite place to vacation?
You know that place you call like a bird or something?
He goes, she's like, where's your favorite place to vacation? He's like, Montana. She's like, oh, well, I was in India.
Yeah.
Turkey.
Lived in India, I think she said, or something.
Was in India for a while.
Like that, yeah.
Turkey, and then off the coast, and he's like, what was that place?
Was that one place you said kind of like sound like a bird or something?
And he's also getting tanked.
Yeah,
because they're drinking whiskey, and he's getting tanked, and it's a bummer for him because when she first walked in, she thought he was cute.
Yeah,
she's like, he's handsome. Yes. I liked his vibe,
like,
and then as it
continued, who's your favorite
sculptor?
And he's like, what? I'd be intimidated by her.
Yes, I understand.
She was just a little too well traveled, educated, classy, like. she had too much cool life experience.
She was giving Angelina Jolie a little bit.
It was just too much. She had just had too much cool shit she's done and currently continues to do. And it's a little bit like Lori with the fashion. It's a little bit like, you're just not in my world.
Yeah.
You know
Her
what I mean?
and Lori would probably be very good friends, honestly.
But it's the fashion thing. It's like, she's like, I do a lot of cool shit.
Yeah.
And it has a lot to do with like high taste.
But of course, he's
whoa.
She's not into him, and he's like captivated by her, and he's like,
she's a unicorn energy,
But Logan ends up helping him with his dating profile and helps him realize like he wants to apologize to Kelly because he assumed she didn't want to move. We have another assumption comment. Now, he said he didn't choose her because he assumed she wouldn't move. I don't believe that.
I don't think so either.
I think that he wanted to date other people, and like you said too, he was intimidated by her. It was a little bit like, well, there's that. And I'm into her, but also now I'm on my high horse and I want to see what else is out there. Because if this is round one, what's the next woman going to be like?
Agree.
And so that's what I think. And I think the only reason that he went back to Kelly is because Sherry was a no-go and was not interested. I think that's what happened. But he wasn't quick enough because guess what? She's already seen somebody else. I love it.
It was like, Lisa, a week later? It was hilarious.
That Lisa and Kelly both were seeing other people. Kind of the two sweeties who like both of the guys were like, oh, they seem charming. They're like, hello, how are you? And then they're both seeing other people. It's like, you snooze, you lose.
Funny.
But I did read an article to see 2 months later what's going on with Greg. And Anise had said, and I don't know where the confirmation is, but I saw somewhere that Anise said that she thinks that he's engaged now. So maybe he found somebody.
Maybe he found someone.
And he might be engaged. So shout out to him.
Shout out.
He did seem like a sweet man. He just needed a little bit of, we need some coaching. We need a little bit of reality check, some coaching. A little
bit of coaching.
And I felt like too, he had his two sons who seemed like they were both willing to like speak into their dad's lives a little bit too. Or it's like, hey dad, what are you doing?
Yes,
like he had
100%.
them there as well. So, but I mean, that is the Later Daters. It was
a great show. I liked that it was 8 episodes.
it.
And we could just do a quick little recap, and then it wasn't, and we had to quit it in the middle of it or whatever. It was really nice that we just had it was a 2-banger. It was very fun. It kind of scratched the itch that the Golden Bachelor didn't.
I agree.
Kind of got into the details of like what it actually means to be this age.
Yeah.
Not just this kind of fantasy land where everyone's just like, we love the show Golden Bachelor, obviously, but like it's a fantasy land where everyone's just on this island and then all of a sudden you have to go back to your real life. I like the fact that this was taking place in their real lives. The kids are there. Life is there. You're seeing the work they need to do.
And when we walk away, it was like, it was a little bit like, did it work out for most of them? No, not really. But it wasn't even about that.
It was about it was almost the message to the viewer.
Yeah.
Like, take these lessons for yourself.
Yes.
Be aware of how you are in the world.
Yeah,
and
then for them to walk away with like this cool experience and to be like, we're gonna try some blind dating, but there wasn't this pressure of like, who are you gonna marry at the end? It was just like, does anybody float your boat? And how does and it felt very real.
I agree.
And I really enjoyed it. And I hope they do a season 2 because that's the show that I want to get my mom signed up for. Yeah. That's my new one. Is I'm like, I want to see if they do season 2, and I'm gonna try to get her to go on that. I would love for her to go on that show. I think she would love it. And then also having Logan there to help with the conversations and so fingers crossed, family.
Agreed.
Well, we love you all. Remember, we got one more episode. Send in via call home your secrets, your deepest confessions. We'll share some too, and we'll all just have our, we'll open up together.
Let's get I don't want to say dark, but let's get honest.
Let's get honest and be in a safe space together before the holidays commence.
But like you said, anonymously you could send in too. So give us your the ones that just like you shudder confessing. Send them in.
Okay. We love you, family. Bye.